Hello everybody, I've had a lot of comments recently talking about my Fullsail videos, and so I wanted to make an updated one to that. This one specifically is going to be for Project and Portfolio 1, one of the first real projects that I did using blueprints and creating a playground and really making it feel like a game versus learning the absolute basics, if that makes sense. There is one I did right before this that was learning the absolute basics that didn't really feel like I was doing a game. It was just like, oh, this is how you code each individual block if the blocks didn't exist, but they do exist, so I really didn't like that class. But I also understand, you have to learn the basics and, move on from there. So without further ado, let me show you what I've been working on. Okay, so we're gonna start on the StackObot world where I didn't really do anything. This is all pre-made, what they gave you. The only thing I had done is this little mountain piece here that stands out among the rest of it. I'm gonna go ahead and hit play. What they had me do was create this Souls-like elevator that takes you from the top to the bottom once you enter the area. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit start here. And once I fly over here real quick, as you can see, I walk into the ring and it starts to take me down after a small delay. Upon reaching the bottom, I can then exit and enter again, going back up. Upon reaching one side, if there is nothing here and the elevator is already gone down to the bottom, I can run over to this button and press E, or interact, to then call the elevator back up. Oh, it looks like I glitched it by jumping into the ring. Okay, I glitched it by jumping into the ring while I was mid-move. That is a bug I would have to work on if I was going to continue on this. But you get the idea. Now, over to the main area that we worked on. Essentially, they had us create a few different items. One of them is the spike trap that you see I laid out here. Once you enter into the hitbox above it, the trigger box, it activates, springing the spikes up and causing damage, which you could control how much damage they provide. In this map here, which is my final assignment, I made them do, I believe, like 9,000 damage just so they'd insta-kill, and that's pretty much it. Another thing they had us make was a single turret. This is a bunch of them put together because I couldn't figure out how to get it to turn on its own. But let me just pull one out here. This is what it looks like. I'm going to place it on top just so you can see it pretty easily. It has a area that it shoots out of, and it's supposed to be able to turn the top of it, but I do not have that programmed properly. I got a 0 on moving it around because it was not able to move. My ingenuity brought me to the decision of duplicating it a bunch of times and sticking them all together so these turret foundations can shoot all around, but that's pretty much as far as I was able to do with that. Another thing they had us create was this NPC-like character that you could interact with by talking to and opening up their dialogue system. They had us create that as well, so I could speak to and have little text options that the player could click, leading to different options of whether or not to start the next quest or not. I also programmed where you can add a walking point or multiple walking points and have the NPC walk back and forth, or in a ranged area around that point. Of course, we also built in checkpoint that once selected, you have the option to make them the level start or not, so you know where the actual level start is going to be. And upon walking over the platform, it triggers saving your progress so you can respawn upon death at the same checkpoint. Another thing they had us create was a box that once entered, the text will pop up giving the player hints and doorways that are only accessible from one side. Once they enter, they are not allowed to go back through. And then finally, we have our spells that we created. The ones that you create in lecture is the fireball spell that you can see right here, as well as the shield spell that you can see right here. Then one of the challenges you have is to create 2 of your own spells to add to your wizard's spellbook. So I created a clone-like duplicate used to spawn and trigger these spike traps so you don't run into them yourself. And as long as there was no coded added into external assets that you could get through the Fab Unreal Engine store, they allowed us to enter our own assets, which I added a storm, little magical tornado spell, so he could cast it, causing the fleeing effect on anything that it touched, or at least any actor that it touched. I'm gonna hit play now and show you the playthrough of my level that I created, where you spawn, you go up to talk to the Dark Wizlord. Hello, you have made it to the final challenge. To receive the last of my power, you must get to the end with the spells I have placed. Where are they? Good luck. ... Okay. As you walk over to this area, the text triggers saying to jump down. So you jump down. The only way forward is by walking over the checkpoint and into the clone spell, where once cast, it creates a duplicate, triggering these spikes in the next area. For a player that has not played before, probably doesn't realize that you could do this without some kind of hint bubble, which I could program myself, but I had no reason to at the moment because I know what I'm doing on this, and this is just for an assignment. This is not for a final product. Otherwise, I would have put it down. Now there's another one here somewhere. Is that it? Okay. There's another one here. Yep. Okay. Finally, over here at the end, I do have it set so it'll trigger a fake out if you are too close to the wall, because I figured that players that run through here would end up hugging the wall once they got this far. Upon reaching the second area, you pick up the fireball spell, and if you run forward, you can see here in a minute, it is filled with spikes. Falling from this platformer area will kill you. There are some walls in your way that you have to use the fireball spell to break through. Break those ones over there too if I can. One more. Upon reaching the end and entering the next area after that, you pick up the shield spell where you can spawn shields. I'm going to go ahead and run through here, blocking as much as I can. As you can see, they do a lot of damage, but you are able to just barely outrun them. Wall myself off right here real quick. Alright, we're chilling. Cool. Nice and protected. Into this final area where I just showed you really quickly the door blocking from the way back out, where you get to the last checkpoint and you pick up the last spell. Now I could just start blasting, but I did have some story element here where you finally get to the end. You talk to the Dark Wizlord once again, and he says, "You really think I'd give you my power? I forged it myself, and I won't let a punk like you have it without a fight. Then why did you lie to me? I thought it would be fun to watch you fail. Why have you done this? Bah, you fool. Fight." And where you fight is where that's when you cast the spell, because you cannot get by without casting the storm spell, which sends them all flying, for the most part. Upon finishing that, you take a leap to get to the final platform where he is hiding, and he yells, "My clones!" And I messed up this where he's supposed to be like, I'm sorry, but I made those the phrases that you could click on by accident. So that ends my final assignment for Project and Portfolio 1 from Fullsail University.